Okay, it looks like we're there again. Good morning. There's the camera. Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, December the 27th, 2025. The clock is ticking on down for Father Time to hit the road and Baby New Year to come waddling on up in here. Isn't it funny how Baby New Year could just walk right out the door? It's kind of funny. Bam! No stumbling, no tripping, just walking. Baby New Year, all over it. Leaves us stumbling and tripping to us. I hope everyone is having a fantastic morning as we all continue to. I don't know about you, but again, like with the way the weather has been, and we've got a full-on springtime thing happening. Today, I'm once again tackling the garage. I got some organizing I need to do out there so I can get things in here organized. And yeah, that's my day. How about yours? Yeah, it's funny like that. What's going on in the world, man? I like to, as you know, I try to stay abreast of things going on, mainly just so nothing surprises me later. And if it's interesting enough, I could share it with you so you too don't find yourself getting, blindsided. Because we've all got lives to live that go beyond these boxes. And the boxes are so funny now, and the things that you can do and should do and all of that. Making a quick little edit here and on the just the streams title. What in the heck? Come on now. But yeah, like I say, not a bad morning at all. It's nice outside, a little cool, but it is winter, so it should be like a whole lot colder. But all right, now we are. There we are. We are pinned to the top there. Good morning, Damien. Good to see you back in for the coffee talk this morning. Because again, it's getting ready for the big new year to come. I've got all my stuff. Actually, I've got a stack over here, right down there. There's a stack of all my notes and such that I've been kind of scribbling out and mapping out. Not random, totally, absolutely getting categorized into what they need to be as we continue to move forward. And some things I'm going to get a little bit more structured with inside of the morning coffee talk that I don't want to take away from just the free flow of all this, but I also want to add a little bit more, as they say, value to the conversation. Because I'm telling you, gang, and it's not that I'm worried, scared, fearful, or any of that nonsense, but I do know there are certain aspects in the changes that will be all up in your face over the span of the next 12 months that I want to do my part in at least getting you pointed in the right direction to have at least enough knowledge to where, again, you don't get blindsided. Because again, we're in this thing together, humans, and we better stick together. Get past some things. Hold on to any label that you want that makes it interesting for you and entertaining. But know that, man, under the hood, things are going to get very, very interesting. Digging around last night and looking at what's get ready. January and February of 2026, there are going to be a lot of, again, this is not woo woo talk. This is like really what's going down. As far as like, there's going to be a lot of announcements and rollouts of new AI based product and systems that they're just going to say, here we come, and they're going to be there, and it's going to be like that all year round. And there's a lot of things that, again, be ahead of the curve as best you can, or at least ride that lane hard enough to where you can get out of the hard turns without crashing out. Whew, because that's what I'm hoping for. I feel good about it because, again, knowledge is power, and we are still going to be the main feeders for these systems to where, but there won't take as many of us to do it. And that's the scary part. But there's going to be solutions, right? Problem, reaction, solution. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of those coming. And that's, just the way it is. And it's been that way forever. But this one's just going to be a lot faster than we thought. And I don't think people realize how fast that things, yeah, that tech advances every 3 to 6 months. Exactly. Learn to turn to a right. But I think, Gar, what's happening? Good morning, by the way. Is that on the other side of the normal advancements, 3 to 6 months? I think we're going to get to that point where we're going to start seeing 3 to 6 weeks as far as the way they roll the things out. But I don't think we could go 3 to 6 days because that's just too fast. But it may get to that point where we can't. Not for sure, but we shall find out. No, no, but it's a Saturday morning, and again, it's already 49 out there, looking for another one of those highs in the mid 70s. So, again, once I get off the air today, I'm just going to kind of dive straight into organizing the garage again, because this is what I love to do, according to Alicia. It's my most favorite thing in the world. Okay. But she's the thing I love most in the world, so I'll continue to agree with that as best I can. No, just kidding. And yeah, so but I don't know. Where are you at for 2026, the new year? Do you have your again resolutions? Throw that crap out the window. Don't do it to yourself. Build a system. Know your goal, but build a system to get to it. I want to stress that as much as I possibly can. But anyway, unless the bots start programming themselves. Now, see, there's going to be the thing: the bots programming themselves. That it's such a slippery slope because in some ways they can now. Because like if you post a query into like say Chat GPT and you watch it do its thinking mode thing, it will start running and rolling and it'll give little updates as it's doing, and then it'll catch itself and it'll be like, oh wait, no, I screwed up there, go back, and it'll keep doing that. So in a way it is programming itself by catching the mistakes. And so it's going to be interesting. However, we're still not at a point where we've got like a full-on C3PO or Data from Star Trek interaction. We're not there yet, but I don't think we're far off, really. Especially because I personally think that Data from Star Trek has less personality than C3PO. 3PO always just he was just like totally a hey, what's up, dude? He's all prim proper, da, 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 and his metal body that looked like a metal robot body, where Data was like evil in that presentation. I'm just saying. I'm saying, take your side, do what you want if you want to take a side. Now I do believe Data could totally thump 3PO in like hand-to-hand combat, because he was kind of stuck with those damn arms. But it's interesting. I mean, it's really where we are. And what's funny to me with all of the like the Optimus robot from Tesla and the ones from Japan and China, again, they're just getting more and more humanoid like, very humanoid like, but actually starting to work. It's dumbfounding to me when people don't think that you can't just cram all that into one system as far as like the AI and all. I mean, it's like it's a computer. All of it's a computer. You could take a smartphone, plug it into its head unit there, and ta-da, it's there. It wouldn't be hard to integrate at all. Why people act like it is just numb. I don't get that. I really don't. Oh, dude, the AI video games, man, are you kidding? It's been there. Good morning, Thomas, by the way. Um, yeah, see, there you go. See, this is what I like about you, girl. You're on top of everything. But anyway, just kind of showing a little love this morning as I rant and not really rave. The only thing I'm going to rant and rave about this morning, because now most of you guys, I don't know where you are in like following along in the quote unquote alternative media space, but it's funny over in that dimension of the metaverse, watching what's happening over there. Now, to clarify, the alternative media space used to be easier to define by like you had like your Alex Jones, you had your David Icke, and just a handful of the more predominant figures inside of the space who were giving you more of the story, if you will, than what was coming out on the mainstream. Now, will I say one way or another that I endorse or agree with all of them? No. However, I do have a deep respect for all of them because regardless of what they may have been proposing as conspiracy, well, the reality is they were all asking questions when everyone else stopped. And that's important. And it's funny because, again, as I look back throughout the span of my career, and I go back to the 90s on this, that when it comes to like, especially Alex Jones, it's like he and I were about the same age, I think, give or take a year here or there, but it's like we were on the same trajectory, right? And that's still weird to me. There's a lot of synchronistic things that were happening at that time especially right there in the mid 90s for me, that was taking me on a path that would have been the same path as an Alex Jones and an InfoWars. But as things had happened, it went a little different. But it was literally on the, I mean, there was, again, it was in 95, and I was at KSYG 103.7. Now it's just the buzz there in Little Rock. And I had done the Halloween special that year, which turned into that Monday getting called into the office for good reasons, saying, "Hey, can you do that again?" And I said, "Yep, sure can." And I went into development on a new Monday through Friday show that was going to be late night. It was going to be 7 to midnight. And kind of, it was, again, and Art Bell had just really started to take off with Coast to Coast AM. So I was going to be doing the 7 to midnight thing, just totally local. However, with KSYG, the Signal Radio Network, we had the potential to be able to syndicate out from there, which was already happening with some sports stuff. So anyway, but it was all being positioned, and I started building the show. I started reaching out and finding guests, getting letters of intent from advertisers, all the stuff, and talked to some really interesting folks at the time. That again, it's like, and again, I got no reason to fluff you, kids. It's all just the truth. It's like I started getting calls from people that were like kind of out of the blue that I didn't see, but it was a lot. Everything that you hear today, I had people calling me then, sharing stories, possible insights, possible whistleblower type stuff. So it was all coming at me. And so I'm like working on this show for, it was a good solid month, and we were going to launch. Initially, the first launch was supposed to be right after Thanksgiving, because that was back in the days when things took a lot more time to produce and do. But anyway, we're supposed to launch right there post Thanksgiving and 95. So anyway, as I'm going into the motions, I'm getting everything, long nights, longer days. And anyway, then I started getting pushed back as far as launching. It's like, well, we got a delay. Well, why are we delaying? I've got this stuff. I've got people booked. I've got all this. And then I got pushed again. Another week. Boom, another week. And then as we were getting ready for the new year going into 1996, I finally was really frustrated because, again, I had people on the line. I was trying to get all this. It was happening, man. And I finally went into my direct boss's office and I said, "Norm, what's going on here, dude?" And and it was funny because it wasn't Norm's fault. I will say that to this day. It was not Norm's fault, but he said, "Well, actually, this show's been canceled." I was like, when was someone going to tell me this? Because I was still working on the damn thing. But Norm let me know that no, show's been canceled. And he had actually been lobbying and fighting for it. But as it was, nope, got shut down before we even got started. But we had had so much success with that Halloween show. This is why I still lean on that one, because it was such a successful broadcast. I mean, it really was. It was a gangbusters thing that at that point, the station had not seen anything like that, because again, the calls that came in, at first it was just slow crawling, and then boom, and it popped that night. And the calls that started coming in, we locked up the phone system, man. It was nuts. It was totally nuts. It was awesome. But anyway, and that's what led to me having to pick up the journey back into music radio. And I just told Norm right there, I was like, well, I just can't do this. Picked up the phone. I had a buddy of mine who had made me an offer in Oklahoma a couple of weeks prior about, oh, no, man, I got this new thing going. It's going to be awesome. But I called him. I said, "You still got that spot?" He said, "Yep." I said, "I'll see you Monday morning." And I did. It sucked. But it was a good experience when I went to Oklahoma for a year. And it was the Morning Man program director thing. But it's a wild ride. But going back to why I bring all that up, in that alternative media space right now, there's the big blow up. And all right, now I know this has been referred to a lot over the past years, but like that movie Idiocracy, I think I say that right. Mike Judge's Idiocracy. Yeah. Anyway, people really are getting dumber. I know you're not, because you're in this audience. This audience I know is not stupid. Okay, that's not self-grandizing. It's just true, because I know all the names in here, and yeah, everybody. There it is. But the things that are happening inside of the space, and I'm commenting on it from the perspective of not just an observer, but a participant in a lot of these topics. And when you present these topics and you're not afraid to ask more wide questions that go a little bit deeper, and I'm seeing things, specifically, I'm speaking to this Candace Owens thing. the biggest thing there, if you're not following that, don't. It's stupid. I mean, it's remarkably stupid. It started out interesting because she continued to ask why questions in regards to what happened to Charlie Kirk. But then she started going a little off the rails. Okay, fine. Then you're asking more why. But then it just started getting kind of dumb. And then when it looked like there was a resolution where, and I will say this, that like when it comes to, because the things she was saying in regards to TPUSA and Erica Kirk and the grand conspiracy of things, it just went off the rails. And they were gracious enough to offer, to give her audience to actually talk about this stuff. But the truth that I see now, I say truth, excuse me, the perspective I see now is that they were gracious to her when she's truly she was first looking like just kind of like the crazy aunt. That's like, it's okay, darling, just calm down, baby. We're gonna work through this together. And she went, not even 2 days later, she put this one guy on that she started saying that the United States military and military intelligence was involved in this thing. And she had a witness, an eyewitness, a whistleblower that she vetted. That's the key. She said that. She said she vetted this guy. I watched the interview. And, well, actually, no. Before she did the interview, when she was just telling the story of what this guy was saying occurred, and every single possible red flag that could shoot up from my brain was like, this is not possible. I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the good conspiracies. But I do know that was just bullshit, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was glaring. And I know that type. And then so when she actually brought him on, and you could see this guy, and I'm listening to him, and I'm watching his eyes, and I'm like, this guy is really full of it. He really is. This guy, this is nonsense. Why are you, no. I'm all about, like, okay, here's the thing. To have anyone come on, and they've got their own take on any of the weird, wacky stuff that is unconfirmed, it's conspiracy talk, right? That's fine. But when you've got someone who is positioning a story in real time with live people and organizations, you're automatically going into slander and libel territory. And you better be ready to back that up, right? Because if you can't, you're going to get sued into oblivion, which leads to one of the first things is like, why has, with all of this latest thing, why has TPUSA as an organization who is being slandered hardcore to the point where, and I heard her say it myself, as far as like pull out, people should stop donating to this organization. Sister, that's slander. That's detrimental. I mean, you're telling people to quit doing business with someone that will get you sued, and you will lose. Period. Especially with those type of claims. So, seeing that and then watching this guy and just knowing he's full of shit. That's the only way I can put it. And it's like I try to keep this thing like totally PG, but we just went PG-13 with that. But here's the thing. It's not that she did that and he said that. People are still defending his story. I mean, adamantly. It's like, whoa, hold up. What's happened, America? People are really saying, no, you guys are all feds, man, you're covering it. No, Dale Gribble. Never seen anything like it. It's like, I knew post 2020, I've watched I just call it the de-evolution of society and thinking, but this is a new level. I mean, it really is. So if I'm going conspiracy with you, I'm telling you, people are damaged out there. And these damn boxes, can't blame the box, it's just a tool. But the way people are using it, and I'm not saying regulate it at all, ever, period. But guard your mind. I've never seen this. I mean, this guy is, okay, I can relate it to you by way of two fellows that I met way back in, oh, shoot, dang, what year was it? 05, I think it was 05, back 2005. And there were more before, but 05, there were two guys in particular that I'd met, and they were inside of that circle, right? That whole conspiracy, new age, wackadoo. And I say wackadoo with as much respect as I can. But the one guy, again, I think I've told the story before, he's like he had been abducted by aliens, and then they had started just beaming transmissions into his head, so he started writing these books. Okay, that's fine. No problem. Enjoy. But come to find out, doing a little bit of homework on him, at the end of the day, he had been an engineer in the military at one point, and he had a successful career, but he was also a wife beater who abused his wife, even up to the point, even when she had gotten to the point where she was just elderly and ill and had to be taken care of, and he would abuse her then too. So when I think when she finally passed, and I think that's when the regret hit him, and that's when he went off the rails with that particular thing, because now he was saving the universe, right? Kind of like, from a psychological standpoint, he was just simply trying to make good for the bad that he just now realized that he had done, to that woman. And then the other guy, he was like this guy, this I guess his name is Mitch Snow, whatever. But the thing is, that guy, I mean, sometimes you can just spot him. I mean, fast. It doesn't take much. If you watch that guy talk and listen to what he's saying, you can quickly see this guy is a nut. Period. End of statement. Full stop. We're done. He's crazy. Just go on about your business. Do not put it forward as if you vetted this guy and you know this is even got an inkling of genuine truth to it, because the evidence that's validated his story is stupid for anybody in a journalistic space. No, there was nothing presented that actually verifies anything other than what was presented, which is still most likely fake. Um, it just showed that the guy was a nut, showed up at a military base and got escorted off the base because he was a nut. Um, but to put that forward as real, oh, scary. But anyway, but the guy I knew or had met, again, and I've told the story before, so if I bore you with it, apologies, but understand that I'm telling you this from a perspective of having been there. And this guy, again, he had been involved in every single conspiracy known to the 20th century. Okay, he was 50 something then, but he was at Roswell. Do the math. He couldn't be, but he knew damn good and well he was. And everything else he had touched, right? Now, in general, in society, he was a fully functioning human ish, right? Had a new age bookstore shop downtown Hot Springs, or not downtown, the other, just right before you get to downtown, right before you get to, it's kind of like in between downtown Hot Springs and where the horse track is. Anyway, but it was something. It was whatever you'd ever heard of. He had had a hand in it somewhere. He was involved. He witnessed. He saw. First person accounts. Okay, not third person. That somebody told him. He knew it because he was there. All right. Um, but come to find out, doing the research on him and the backstory. Again, this is early internet days, so it wasn't necessarily the easiest thing in the world to like find things on people. But I did, and I found out he and his brother had witnessed his father um, kill his mother when they were little. And he'd been a nut ever since. I say been a nut ever since. That's kind of cruel, I guess. But he was in and out of orphan. He and his brother both were in and out of orphanages for for a decade. And sometimes they were together, sometimes they were split up. So the trauma there, the psychological trauma, it turned into this. It was his coping mechanism. He escaped into what could have just simply been sci-fi fantasy, and it started internalizing. And then when he gets wind to the conspiracy realm, start internalizing that to where it all just melded together in a reality this guy created in his head. Again, he was harmless though, but this other guy uh, it's not harmless now. Because again, people are really go when you have to explain this. There's just one guy on YouTube, Nate. His handle's like Valhalla VFT, I think. Anyway, but he's like trying to be a Candace Owens supporter in a lot of these things for same set reasons. It's like you got to ask questions deeper, wider. But when it came to this thing, he was like, wait, because he's a military guy, former Green Beret for real, got the cred and everything else. He's like, this doesn't add up. This is not real. This can't be real, just because of his own observation experience in life and how things work. So he took the time to actually do the research, pull up files, police records, everything else involving this guy, interviewed former spouses, all this other stuff. And in that live stream, and I guess it was last night, people were still attacking him as if he were lying. And all he was doing was simply presenting the actual documents and the facts of the matter, not attacking anyone specifically, or not going after the Candace Owens, but just Here's the proof, folks. Do what you want with it. He wouldn't even tell them what to think. It was just, here it is. But the way the box people were attacking him with true sincerity, that's scary. And this is where we are. Yeah. Well, you should totally check out both Hot Springs and Eureka. We got to get you over to Eureka. Hell, it's just up the road. So, yeah. That's funny. But yeah, what's funny though, Gar, when you say here that the person's name is Twitchy, it could be a fake. Well, what's funny, what this guy did, he had his real name. He's probably dead now, and I don't care either way. But his name was Ron Davis, right? But now they were in the early days of doing like online radio stuff and this other whatevers, you know. So his name was Ron Davis. But what he did is he presented himself with his air name as Nor Savad. Ron Davis spelled backwards. And it's like, okay, sure, fine. But then when I did the dig and then found out more about what was really going on inside of his noggin, there was a straight psychological thing in that expression. It was like sort of like with Stranger Things, how you have like normal Hawkins, then you have the upside down. It's kind of like he was living inside of that, and that was like the expression of his psyche. So it's, again, is what it is. And again, I got no reason to kid you at all. But yeah, it's I don't know, man. Again, and my whole thing is they're watching people inside of the box land, not out here in the real world, not on the telephone when you're actually speaking to someone, but it's nuts. And people are getting easier and easier to manipulate. So much easier because we've been emotionally overloaded with this whole scrolling thing. Because again, you go from, now here's the thing I heard. Now I haven't fully tested it yet, but make a note of this, okay? You're on social media, whichever platform, and they're all going to follow a very similar format. Okay. Now, again, we all know we do the highs and lows and ups and downs with every other post, right? 1 minute you're happy, 1 minute you're sad, 1 minute you're angry, another you're glad. All right, the emotional roller coaster, all right, that all of them provide. But now here's the thing to watch for is that when it comes to ad placement, what's happening, and again, I've kind of looked at it a little bit and I've caught a little bit of it, but I haven't really went totally in. But if you watch your scrolls and you'll see happy, sad, 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 mad, happy-ish, sad, and you'll go through a few of the different emotional things, but then you'll get to the next happy emotion. The thing that makes you go, oh, that's sweet, look at that cute little kitten. And then right after that will be an ad. That's completely intentionally on purpose. Because, as many of you may be aware, that you're going to buy on the, yeah, they have access to firearms. Actually, you know what's scarier than firearms is the fact that they have access to these machines, which are far more deadly. I firmly believe that. But once you get to that low, the high, the low, the high, they get you back to the high, and then they show you an ad. Because why? Because you're going to be more inclined to actually click on the ad. Because they primed you for it. To where, and if you're going to buy from an ad, it's going to be at a happy point. Right? But now that ad may have something to do with some of the sad things that you saw before. Like, say they're setting you up for, oh, I don't know. I don't want to go too specific here. But the main thing is like they prime the pump with certain emotions that are problems. Then they hit you with the high, make you feel better. Then they show you an ad that solves a problem they just showed you. Again, it's like problem, reaction, solution all over again. But here's a pattern. And I'm going to test it a little to see exactly how clear that pattern is and how stable it is. But I'd almost bet, because we already know the algorithms are already feeding you what you see. This is why, like, when it comes to getting views and things and all that online, ain't like it used to be. It used to be a lot more organic, if you will, in a lot of ways. That if you do something like I'm doing this podcast with you guys, and I don't know who I'm talking to. I know I look at the analytics on it, and the numbers, they're nothing like they used to be when I used to do this. Not that I'm so great that everybody should be watching me and all give me Joe Rogan numbers or any bullshit like that. That's not what I'm saying. But just by default stuffs, I can see where caps hit, and I see them a lot. I do know that there are other things I could do that would totally skyrocket that up. but I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not chasing any of that stuff anymore. I'm just doing a consistent thing that I needed for me to get back in front of the world, if you will, for the sake of what I do, tell stories and create stuff. But I'm not worried about growing audience in that manner. It's not what I'm going for. Plus, I like just chatting and hanging out and having coffee and discussing things that may not get discussed otherwise, like all this crap. So I don't know if I can plant a seed or two to get you to, for you yourself to ask a little bit more why and deeper questions. Good. I mean, that's what we really need to do. So, Thomas, how much does a polar bear weigh? That's right. Manic depression is great for Amazon because mania means spending. That is so true. And I got proof of it around me from this year. I coped with a lot of the stuff that I was dealing with through buying stuff because I had an idea and I was going to do this and it was all going to make sense and it was all purposeful because I was like pulling back from like back in the early days of blogging that turned into toy reviews and all of that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to bring that back in, but with more meaning and depth. And then those really didn't materialize because I didn't really want to do it in the first place. But I was coping in that manner, dealing with stuff enough to break the. Oh, look at that, Gar! You got to steal that one right there. You know how much a polar bear weighs? Enough to break the ice. There you go. I need a Gar sound effect for that one. Thomas, you should be ashamed of yourself, sir. Not really. That was funny. In that wonderful dad joke way, buddy. Ah, ah, ah. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to get off that. But it's just been funny to watch this stuff because, again, watching people devote themselves to an online personality who's truly, I cannot and will not say that she's lost her mind. And the reason I say that is because I don't know how much is intentional. Because I've had the pleasure, if you will, and I use the word totally wrong, but I've had the pleasure over the years to accidentally get myself into a sticky wicket with really nutty ass people, reading them first as an underdog when I should have known better, but I didn't. But then I got involved, and then once you do get involved with that type that really normally a lonely person that has goes a different direction, and I'm an eccentric type on my own right. So when certain people appear eccentric with a little bit of an underdog thing, I can go along with that. It's like, but I didn't vet nearly as much because I was looking for my own escape routes too. But I've seen it, and I'm telling you, it will not end well. It just won't. That's fact. A mind is truly a terrible thing to cook fried eggs with. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I may try that here in a little bit, at least for breakfast. 8:32:52. We done shot up 3 degrees since we started this thing. Man, balmy. But it's interesting out there, man. It truly is. But I know I'm going to take the rest of the weekend. I got to get back out in my garage. Thomas going to attest to this. I had made some progress, but Alicia decided that progress was moot and exploded everything again. But I'll fix it. That's what I do. Yeah. Oh man. But it's happening. But anyway, that's going to be my day because it's going to be lovely out there. It's going to be warm. Next week's not ish. I don't know. It goes all over the place. No, I have not checked that link out yet, Gar. I mean to. I slept all day. I told you guys it was like yesterday was like the holiday reset hangover day. I am not even playing. I got off the air and talked to Alicia for just a little bit, and I said I'm gonna go lay back down for a little while, and I did. I slept all damn day. I needed it. My body said, "Dude, you're done. You're done. You're done. Stop. Just stop now, because you're done." And so I slept all day. I think I feel a little bit more recharged. I'm not 100% sure. That's another thing for 2026. I gotta put my system in place to actually start getting serious about the physical health stuff. Again, systems, not goals. And that's another reason for my seriousness about getting out. I got to move stuff around. We've been fortunate enough to be in this house for going on 15 years now, and we've outgrown it in a lot of ways because of stuff. And we've gotten rid of a lot of stuff because we just accumulate stuff, and got to work that out because don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. that I know of. Things can change, but I don't know. But everything seems to be hunky dory. I just got to do cleaning, organizing stuff. Yep. See, there you go. So yeah, Monday we're gonna get punched in the face, and then just get warmed back up. Thank you very much for that update there, Damien. That's important. So anyway, but I hope everybody has a good productive weekend as well, and do the things, because actually now we're running up on New Year's, which pretty much is just an excuse to have another week kind of just shot because of timing. Because, well, we got New Year's coming up, so that's the one I'm like, okay, so if you're not taking New Year's Eve to get liquored up that night and then needing to sleep off the hangover New Year's Day, what damn difference does that one make? I don't know. I really don't. Oh yeah, the other great story. Yeah, I'm with you, Thomas. March 2026. Get ready, baby. I'm sure we'll wind up with one of those Blitzkrieg winter events that's going to be what it is. But you know what? My garage is going to be sorted out. All the excess stuff from inside of the house is going to be out in the garage. You know what I'm going to be doing? Having coffee with you guys every morning at 8 o'clock. Lord willing, if the creeks don't rise, of course, to quote the legendary Hank Williams. But yep, there it is. Guys, I'm going to get off here. It's I got to get productive this morning. I got to dive in that garage, and it ain't waiting on nobody. So anyway, we'll do it again in the morning. We'll have some fun. I'm going to follow along. Again, seriously, if you decide you want to observe humanity and society showing not that they're going decline, but they've already lost their mind, check out some of the stuff inside of that Candace Owens spear. These people have literally lost their damn minds. And it's scary because they believe they're right. They believe they're right. And that's when it gets dangerous. And that's really where we are. I'm not saying things are going to go crazy, blah, blah, blah. People are going to be in the streets and all. Nope. But I do know that there's a damage there. It's like they're not role playing anymore. They're taking it seriously. And I've seen those people. They never hurt anyone after the fact, but normally there's a trauma on the front end of it. And I think the collective trauma that we all have faced now, thanks to the events of 2020 when they closed the planet, that was traumatic. It's been washed over. And everybody's like, yeah, move along, move along. No, that one's deep because it affected everyone. Everyone. And there's long-term damage that's there that's starting to unravel, and you're seeing it with things such as this. Because again, you trust nothing, believe nothing that you see until something just triggers you. You're like, I could be a part of this tribe over here, even if the tribe is totally crazy cannibals. But I'm part of something because people are looking to connect again to something. And it's got to be interesting. And they took away the movies and the music. So you had to find something. And you know what? Religion's out the window. You don't even have, again, like I was kind of sort of, not really, joking when it came to like the 3-Eye Atlas thing, which is over now, done. No aliens, no special turnaround, come back. Oh, damn, we forgot our suitcase, back at Earth. None of that. But there were no cults that formed around it like the old Heaven's Gate deal, if you remember that one. They're not there, which is good. I'm not saying that people needed to start a cult to worship this comet thing or whatever, but it didn't happen. So there's a new thing inside of it's not even the cult of personality anymore. It's like the cult of abnormality, and people are jumping in board in these little tribes that are popping up. And the bigger the tribe gets, the more they want. Remember how you used to be able to have a fandom, like Star Wars people, Star Trek people, but nothing really was as big as those. But you would have those, and that would be your cliques and so on. But now each one of those are so shattered, and no one's going to tell me that's not by design. Because when you take away the heroes of a culture, you have a problem. Because when they take away the things, what's the word I'm looking for? The personalities, the role models, if you will, of characters to like aspire to be. Hopefully, you want to aspire to be on the good guy side more so than the bad guy side. But it is what it is. But those things are gone now, and no one's going to tell me that's not by design, because there is a they. Now, who exactly are, I don't know, but I do know corporations have a lot to do with it because they're in it for making cash. Get that. Governments because they want to stay in control. But even religions don't have their power anymore. They really don't. They try inside of the media narratives, if you'll notice this, they tried for the longest to keep pinning and pitting religions against each other. But they're not really doing that anymore. I think it just fizzled out as a weapon. So, but now they're going with all this other stuff. So be careful. You know what I'm saying? That's right. Don't tug on Superman's cape, baby. So it's going to be interesting. Very, 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 very. Yep. Exactly. So a lot of. If you're watching this in the replay broadcast, go back to my comment section because Damien and Gar and Thomas are offering up good things for you to chew on, and that's what this whole coffee talk thing is. It's about talking about things that aren't too heavy, but when you see the heavy stuff, kind of talk about it, figure things out. At least get you thinking, because if we're not thinking and talking about some of these things in the most trivial way, what are we doing with ourselves? I don't know, but it's interesting to watch. All right, gang, now I am going to go 20 minutes away from the 9 o'clock hour on a Saturday morning, December the 27th, 52 on the thermometer. And I'm going to go dive into my garage because I got to get that done. Chores still exist, kids. Anyway, guys, it was fun. It was great. I'm going to go to this end screen thing so that the stream can do its thing in buffering and not cutting me off, because that would be rude. And I don't want to just slam the door in your face. That would, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, hey, Rick, good morning, buddy. You caught us right here on the tail end. Tell everybody hi and then watch this thing again, because who knows? I don't know, it might make your life better. But anyway, morning, Rick. And but I'll catch everybody later. Enjoy your coffee, your water, your tea, your soda, whatever it is you got. Get hydrated and dive into a fun day.